Welcome in guys to my NFL Week 8 recap, and we started off with a Thursday night game, Ravens versus the Bucks. The Bucks have been very disappointing this year. Again, you look at Tom Brady, much as he's the GOAT and he's one of the greatest, one of the best quarterbacks of my generation. Um, Again, you think of you think maybe he should have stayed retired at the end of the 2021 season. He comes back this year. He's under Todd Bowles, who's a defensive coach, but you look at him and Father Time. I know he's 45, and you look at the other quarterbacks that have retired in recent years. From your Drew Brees, Big Ben, they were all 38 to 40, and then Tom Brady's 45. Again, Father Time has caught up with him, but the Ravens get the job done, 27 to 22. Julio Jones did a touchdown to make it 27 to 22, and the Ravens are now 5-3. The Bucks are now 5-3 and 5 for this season. But a good win for the Ravens. Next week they have the Saints on prime time. So again, and they have Roquan Smith. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I'll do a video on that tomorrow about the Roquan Smith trade from the Bears. He's not doing Bears football. He's doing Ravens football. Anyway, on to the early Sunday games. So we had the London game this past week. Broncos versus the Jags. Russell Wilson did start the game, 21 to 17. Again, I look at Trevor Lawrence and I'm like, is he really the dude? Is he really the dude in Jacksonville? Is he gonna really take this team any further? Because I look at him, he fumbled a couple of plays, especially in that third down in the third quarter. He had a play he should have passed. He should have passed the ball. He's like looking around for people on the field again. He got fumbled a couple of times in the game, but the game ended 21 to 17, and the Broncos got the win. The Broncos are now 3-5. Nathaniel Hackett, the jury is still out with him. Again, he hasn't had the best start. You look at this whole thing with Russell Wilson. It wasn't the best that you had a shit ton of money to give Russ, and then you're only 3-5. Again, sometimes you gotta ask yourself, why is Russ on the free agency? Why is he on the trade market this summer? Nobody else wanted him. But the Broncos get the win and they're 3-5. Then we had the Patriots versus the Jets. It was 22 to 17. Bryce Hall is injured now for the rest of the year. You got Bill Belichick, who finally got his win, and that he's now got the second most wins as a head coach in the NFL. Got 325 wins. Then we have the Bears and the Cowboys. And you look at this game, you look at last week's game with the Bears and the Patriots on prime time. And the Bears actually had one of the best games this year. Justin Fields had one of his best games as an NFL player to date. Was that Patriots game last week. And he goes to this game, and then it was Bears football. You had, again, you look at Matt Eberflus. He's a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive-minded coach. What the hell was that defense, Matt Eberflus? Like, again, you're a defensive coach. Your team has been going behind multiple times this season. I know they've had that fighting spirit, but again, they've lost in defeat, which is sometimes you can look good in defeat, sometimes. But again, that you're supposed to be the defensive coordinator or the defensive head coach, and your defense, it sucks. And then you look at the offense. I know the offensive line is bad. But you look at Justin Fields. He had that great game last week. He goes back to the old self. You had one bit where Fields does a great arm sling in the third. But again, it goes to like Eddie Jackson. He fumbles the ball again. You've got people like Eddie Jackson in his team who gave absolutely nothing to this Bears team. You had Tony Pollard who had a really good game. You had Ferguson with a touchdown, and then it was 28 to 49. Again, a huge shutout for the Cowboys. Are now 6-2. The Bears are now 5-3, 3-5. Again, a lot of questions still on Fields and Earth Getsy. Oh, let's do a field goal instead of we're gonna run the ball instead of passing the damn ball for God's sake. Let's go for a field goal. But anyway, yeah, the Cowboys won 29-49. Then we have the Panthers versus the Falcons, a divisional game in the AFC South, 34-37. You had a Hail Mary from Baker Mayfield to DJ Moore, went into overtime. Then it was 34-37 with a field goal, and the Falcons get the win. Then you had the Cardinals versus the Chargers, 26-34. Again, I want to say a really impressive job that Kevin O'Connell's doing in his first year as a head coach in the NFL. He's got this Vikings team doing some good bit of football. They're also doing what I like how he's transitioned his team, and he's bringing the team into his mold, his vision. They're 6-1 now, and they're looking good this year. Then you had the Steelers versus the Eagles, 13-35. Another team that's doing well this year. The Eagles are the only undefeated NFL team. They're now 7-0, and AJ Brown. I mean, if I'm Titans, I'm like, what the fuck? Why the hell did we trade him? I know you got some draft capital, some draft space, and whatever, but again, you're like, why the fuck did we trade AJ Brown to the Eagles? Again, him and Jalen Hurts, they have just great chemistry together. I know that Robert Quinn has just been traded from the Bears, so let's see how he's going to be in Philadelphia. But 13-35, I liked how Kenny Pickett started the game. But again, the Steelers are 6-2 now. Again, it's going to be one of those. Mike Tomlin's never had a year where he's never had a losing record in a season, so this could be the first season he's had a losing record in a season. But good for the Eagles. Again, Steelers this season, it's more about the rebuild and rebuilding something different now. Like, you've had Big Ben for 15-16 years. You've got to rebuild. See what you have in Kenny Pickett. You had him in the first round of the draft. Let's see what you have with him. Then we had the Raiders versus the Saints. It was a shutout, 0-24 to the Saints. Then we had the Dolphins versus the Lions, 31-27. Lions had a great start to the game. It was like 7-14 in the first and 7-21, and then, as we've seen, this Dolphins team has the great spirit that they do. 3 for 382 yards, and then that made it 31-27, and the Dolphins are now 5-3. Lions are now 1-6. Then we had the 49ers versus the Rams in the AFC West. Christian McCaffrey started, and I look at the Rams in their stadium. We all know that it's always the away fans that do the most reaction, and the 49ers. There's more 49ers fans in the Rams stadium than there was of Rams fans. But Christian McCaffrey had a really great game. He was rushing, passing touchdowns and stuff like that. He had a couple good touchdowns. Kittle got himself a touchdown as well. 31-14, and again, Kyle Shanahan has beaten Sean McVay again. Then you have the Titans versus the Texans. Malik Willis started this game, so I like how finally Malik Willis is getting a game. 17-10, and the Titans get the win. Then we have the Commanders, versus the Colts. We had Taylor Heineke start and Sam Ehlinger start, because Matt Ryan's injured the rest of the year. 17-16 to the Commanders. Then we had the Giants, who were 6-1 going into this game, versus the Seahawks, who were 4-3, doing really good in the AFC West. And then it was 13-27 to the Seahawks. Again, I like the impressive thing what Brian Daboll's been doing with this Giants team. I've said that before, but I think now you're going to find out. Now that we know how the Giants play, you're going to find out they're going to be exposed a lot more now that they have not the weapons that they have around them. So, but ultimately, I like what he's doing in New York/New Jersey, and let's hope that he can do better in the offseason with better people around him. Then we had the Packers versus the Bills in primetime on Sunday night. Again, you look at this Packers team, their offense sucks. They got rid of the franchise wide receiver Devontae Adams for Sammy Watkins. I heard that AJ Green is going to be coming in at some point. I don't know if that's true or not, but 17-27. Rodgers, he got a big payday, but he doesn't give a fuck about the Packers. He's like, fuck the Packers. I just want a big payday. And I'm not saying like, I'm not judging him. Like, get paid, get your money and get paid. Again, he's thinking like, I'm gonna be 39. I ain't gonna be. I'm not gonna be here for the long term. But again, if you're gonna have some Aaron Rodgers, build around him, especially at his age. He's gonna be 38, 39, whatever he is. Build around him, because again, if you want to get to actually appear in the Super Bowl, you've got to go over it here and now. Not have people like the Sammy Watkins of the world and the AJ Greens. AJ Green's only played 10 games in the past 5 years. Then we have the Bengals versus the Browns. Tonight's game on primetime. Again, a shutout for the Browns. The Browns were really good tonight. 13-32. Both of the offenses don't need a lot of work. The offensive lines of the Bengals and the Browns, again, wasn't the best, but again, the Browns, they did what they did. Brisker had a good game tonight. You had you had one point where Brisker was trying to he got sacked in the second when it was 0-11. And then you had Cooper, who had a good game as well. Amari Cooper was great. He was 0-20. He had touchdown, a third and goal to 0-24, and the third straight drive of the third straight drive for the Browns, and then it was 13-32, and the Browns get the win in the AFC North, and they're top of the division next week. Ravens. Saints next week. Anyway, guys, that's my NFL recap for Week 8. Leave you guys thoughts in the comments. Peace.